Hi, I'm M. Ward. Welcome to the Blues Kitchen.
M. Ward releases his 10th studio album, Migration Stories, on the 3rd of April 2020. Also known for his work as one half of She and Him, being a member of Monsters of Folk alongside Conor Oberst of Bright Eyes and Jim James of My Morning Jacket, Matthew has to be one of the most prolific musicians in America. We got to discuss the themes on the new record, working with Tim Kingsbury and Richard Reed Parry from Arcade Fire, and he performs a version of Howlin For My Baby, originally by Howlin Wolf. And while you're watching, like this video and subscribe to the channel for regular episodes of The Blues Kitchen Presents. Welcome to The Blues Kitchen.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you very much for coming and hanging out with us this afternoon.
My pleasure.
You're here to talk about Migration Stories, your new album, which is out in April 2020. But looking through your discography, shall we say, you've been prolific is an understatement. 10 solo records, 6 with She and Him, Monsters of Folk, and then collaborations alongside Mavis Staples, Nora Jones. I mean, the list is kind of endless. Kind of feels like it's
obscene.
It is obscene.
It's
yeah.
grotesque.
Somewhat of an addiction for you as well. When do you ever find time to rest? What else do you do?
It's a good question. The making of records is just something I like to do because it started out as a hobby. It was never a job. It's still something that I look at as a giant science experiment where I just have fun with musical ideas and get together with friends who have similar tastes. So it's fairly easy to stay productive when you enjoy your work.
So Migration Stories, 2 tunes which you performed for us today that you can hear online and we've had the pleasure of hearing. Migration of Souls and Unreal City. Congratulations, they sound amazing.
Cheers, thank you.
I'm intrigued to know how working with the guys from Arcade Fire came to happen. You travelled up to Quebec to make this LP as well. Maybe you could give us a bit of background on that.
Yeah, 2018, I spent November in Montreal with some of those guys, and I'd been a fan for a long time of their records. I knew that they were going to bring ideas and instruments that I was unfamiliar with, as well as the co-producer for the record, a guy named Craig Sylvie, who has worked with Arcade Fire a bunch, and it was just a thrill to see their expertise in especially keyboards, old analog keyboards that I had never heard of, and so that
I was going to ask, so what kind of instruments are they bringing to the table?
Yeah, if I could remember, I would tell you the names of these keyboards, but there's so many, and I'm
sure. As
a guitar player, I'm very in the dark on most synthesizers and keyboards and Moogs, and I think I'm happily oblivious in all of those. So I'm happy to delegate those things to people that really know what they're doing, and I really admire people who are able to find these sounds on these keyboards. So it was nice to have this new think tank.
Brilliant. I mean, there's 2 things that I'd really like to know is how much it was a kind of complete batch of songs, because there's 11 tracks. Were they fully written, or was it collaborative by the time you met up with the guys up in Quebec and got to work?
Normally when I go into the studio, the bones of the song are finished, but it's not too fun to pre-program everything. It makes the work in the studio a little too cold. So it's good to have a lot of open ends. So the chord progressions are done, the lyrics are done, the harmonies by and large are done, but everything else is sort of invented during the production. It makes recording exciting when you leave things to chance, and a little bit of chaos can be a good thing.
Healthy environment to operate in. So in terms of themes, it's been explained in a couple of articles online, explained as 11 stories of human migration. And from what I understand, some of this is from observation in the press, and some of it's a kind of fantasy as well. So maybe you could discuss where the inspiration comes from and how you blended reality with what's going on in your own imagination.
Yeah, most of them do come from either conversations I've had with friends about the situation or newspaper articles I've read.
Mm-hmm.
And there is, just from talking to different journalists, there is questions about it being sort of a political message, but it's definitely not. I'm not clever enough, really, to have a big political answer to anything, especially a crisis involving millions of people. But I know my reaction to the human interest stories involving one individual or one or two individuals. So working with one person's story is a lot easier to turn into music, mm-hmm. or probably a film if I was a filmmaker, than taking on hundreds or millions of people. So I definitely don't have any sort of political bent for it, but there's an emotional reaction to reading these stories and hearing them from friends, and that's what shows up in the songs.
I understand you've done quite a lot of film work and soundtracks along the way. My first impression when I first started to hear the opening track from the new record is that there's a minute and a half, I think, before the vocals come in. And there's an element when the vocals do come in, you've constructed and written some beautiful songs, but even if the lyrics weren't there, I still would have been satisfied with the work that you'd created. It's kind of got an otherworldly, ethereal quality to it.
Thank you. I definitely look at vocals, as my vocals anyway, as secondary to what's happening in the song. I've never really seen myself as a singer, or it's something
that's really interesting.
Yeah, I'm happy to be a guitar player first, because that was my first love. Passion for music was through the instrument. So singing is still something that I do. I've gotten a lot of encouragement to continue doing it, and I enjoy it, but my main enjoyment is just learning other people's songs, playing, using the guitar, and writing songs using the guitar.
So on other people's songs, we always ask our guests to come in and perform a cover, some kind of roots cover. We always say folk, blues, country, and you kind of hit the nail perfectly on the head. You came into the Howlin Wolf tune for a stunning version today.
Wow.
You also mentioned before the camera started rolling that you'd met Hubert Sumlin.
Yes.
For anyone that doesn't know, who was Howlin Wolf's guitar player. So you have a little bit of history where you've crossed over, but maybe you could tell us about your relationship to that song.
I discovered Howlin Wolf probably in college when I was, there's a Rolling Stones record called Beggar's Banquet that I really love, and I ended up reading articles about it and some of the guitar players that influenced that record and just their style, and Howlin Wolf just shows up in every interview.
You see that Chester Burnett on all the credits,
yes,
things, don't you?
I love his voice. Later on, after I started listening to the records more, I realized how interesting this guitar player was, Hubert Sumlin. I was playing a show, playing guitar with Norah Jones in Atlantic City, New Jersey, and in the other arena, or the other theater, was some sort of a blues kind of extravaganza, and I heard that Hubert Sumlin was playing, and so we asked to go backstage, and I got to meet him, and that was I had no idea that was ever going to happen.
Was it a casual hello, or was there a little bit of a conversation?
It was a casual hello, and I told him how much I appreciated his guitar playing, and he said, "Thank you very much." And that was about it.
Wonderful.
There's a TV show called True Blood that asked for like a unreleased song, and I sent them a version that I did with some friends of Howlin For My Baby. I don't think I've ever played it live, but so that's the song I picked.
Maybe be kind enough to introduce your performance.
Yes, this is my favorite Howlin Wolf song called Howlin For My Baby. She's hot like red pepper, sweet like cherry wine. I'm so glad she loves me loves me all the time. This the kind of love she got, makes me laugh and cry, and makes me really know I'm too young to die. And if you hear me howling, I'm calling for my darling. Ooh, ooh, ooh. And every time she kisses me, she make the lights go out early in the morning, make me twist and shout. Oh, this the kind of love she got, make me laugh and cry, and make me really know I'm too young to die. And if you hear me howling, calling on my darling, well, ooh, ooh. And if you hear me howling, calling on my darling, well, ooh, ooh,
Subscribe to The Blues Kitchen for live performances and interviews with the hottest blues, soul, country and roots musicians in the world today.
And all my life